being out there, just because I feel like the difference is the energy and the fact that, I'm on the same soil that this stuff has happened or is happening, and you feel it different from the people which are actually here, and you understand everything is synonymous, and although it is something which is taking place in the US, everyone shares that burden and shares that feeling in which we're feeling, which is why everyone has come together. But being out here has definitely given me a new perspective, and has been great to be a Brit out here representing and being on the front line, and just kind of being amongst the African Americans and white Americans in this protest for change. So yeah, it's been great being here. It's been an advantage, I'd say. So when it comes to picking the roles in which I take, I actually try and work backwards, right? What I mean by that is I work out where I want to be, where I want to end up as an actor. And for me, my ambition is that I want to be a leading man within Hollywood, in which is able to do, I kind of have this kind of rule for myself where I do, two for the craft and one for the people. And what I mean by that is I want to do roles and I want to do projects in which I enjoy, first and foremost, because I think it's important that whatever it is that you're doing, you enjoy and you love. And then what I mean by one for the people is that there is also an audience in which loves you or falls in love with the projects that you do, and they demand or they want something from you. And so I'll have a project in which specifically is something that I know appeases my audience. And so when I work backwards, I'm like, okay, so if I want to be a leading man within Hollywood and regarded amongst my peers as that, how do I put myself in those positions to be able to warrant that? So I at the start of my career was in a position where it was just about getting a role. It was just about getting on screen and getting a role, because if I'm not getting a role, if I don't get on screen, then, I'm going to be in a position where I'm not noticed. And at the start, I would at that point say that beggars can't be choosers. And as much as you want to put yourself in a position where you want to do roles in which you love, I think you set your boundaries, right? So everyone should have boundaries as to what they do, what they don't do, what they want to do, what they don't want to do. I have certain roles that I would just never play, because I believe that in order to convey a role, it has to be truthful and has to be honest. And there are just certain characters that I can't put my headspace in to be able to give an honest representation of that character. And so once you have your boundaries outside of that, understand where you want to be. So if you want to be a leading woman at the top of your career, top of your industry, and you want to say a specific thing, or you have something in which you want to really put forward in terms of a message that you have as a creative, then you want to be looking at projects in which are, when you look back after 10 years, you can say, okay, all of these projects led up to, who I am and who I want people to see me as an actor, who I want casting directors to see me as. When they think about roles and they think about who could play that role, I want to be amongst that conversation. So when I look at the roles in which are that I want to do, and they're leading roles, and they're, sometimes even big blockbusters, then I put myself in a position where I'm like, okay, this blockbuster needs to put me in a position where I am a leading man. So now all the roles that I do has to be leading roles. I won't even go up for a role where I'm not a leading role, because I've now done leading roles. And so based on that, I'm in a certain bracket. And if I then do a role in which is not necessarily a leading role, it then allows a casting director or a producer to say, he might not be right for it because he's done so many roles in which are not the leading man. How can he now do a leading man when he hasn't done that before? So I think understand exactly what your do's and don'ts are and what your career trajectory will be, and understand what your boundaries are as a performer, as a creative, and then position yourself in order to put yourself in a position that does not compromise where you want to be in the future, and allow yourself to be in a position where the roles in which you are taking are part of that trajectory. And so that's kind of what I use in order to decide what roles I want to take. And that's why I think it's important to also have a side job, or, something where you're not financially dependent on just acting until you are dependent on that, because you don't want to make choices and, poison your creativity because you need the finances of that role.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.